Why, thank you.
I'm looking at it. Right, takes it over because there's slides.
Oh, treasures.
Hello. Hello.
Okay, I guess we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to open in prayer, and then I'll give a little bit of about the trip and what we did and that, and then each person's going to share a little bit about their part of the trip and what it meant to them and some of the work we did. Dear Heavenly Father, we just come before you now, and we just thank you with grateful hearts and humble hearts that you would use this team to go and do your work and be your hands and feet in Kentucky. We thank you for the provisions that you gave us. And we just thank you, Lord, for each one that supported us and prayed for us while we were on this trip. We pray, Lord, for those that are still down there working and moving into their homes, Lord, that you will just provide and keep them safe. And we thank you in your precious name. Amen. First of all, I want to thank everybody, those online and those here, that gave so generously. We were supported in a way I've never had in a team before. We were given, we had like $5,000 over our budget, which was huge, but it went to, every penny went to Kentucky. What we come back with, we are dividing up and sending back down to the people we worked with. There's 3 different places we're sending money back to. The one church that we stayed at, Nazarene Church in Madisonville, they were so gracious. They let us stay there. They didn't want a penny. And when we did give them something, they put it into a woman's home instead of keeping it for their church. And they've been housing team after team after team. And that was Dan Bradshaw and Robbie, and they were just wonderful to us. We had a great facility to stay in, and they even let the girls go and stay in their home. It was just, people were so good to us. And anytime you go on a mission trip, you think you're doing for others, but really, each one of us were touched by the people there in return. But I can say that God really used this team, and this is an amazing team. They worked hard, and it was hot. I think 105 one day, no air conditioning. It was hot days, and they worked hard, and it was just, I'll tell you, in this church, God is moving, not only in our mission trip, but everything that's happening in this church. And this was just an example of when we're obedient and do what he asks us to do, how he can use us and work with us. We went down there thinking we were going to work on 2 homes. We ended up only being able to work in the one home because the other house wasn't ready. But they did get to do, one of the team members will share what we were able to do at the other house to kind of help the next team that come in. But we worked on one house. It was Tammy and Bud's house. They had lost everything. Both homes had lost everything. And what sit between the 2 homes was a church. And you'll see it up here during the slides. You'll see a before and after, and that is a church, and then you'll see what happened afterwards. The church is gone. But we were able to work in these 2 homes. We were able to do drywall and painting in the one house. That was huge because then they could get the kitchen in and get the floors down and get things rolling. The one family, the Cox Family Brooklyn and Cody Cox, they have a 3-year-old and a baby on the way. This tornado hit on December 11th. People were preparing for Christmas and lost everything. Their house caved in. They were in the basement, but it caved in on them. Luckily, they were unhurt and they were able to get out. They did lose a couple neighbors. So everyone that we talked to knew somebody that didn't make it through the tornado. You'll see a picture of the tornado too, and it was a mile wide, 200 miles long, and it took a lot as it went through. You'll see some of the destruction in some of the videos we have. You can't capture it in pictures. But we went down there and we met people. Everywhere was helping us. Every store we went into, they were just they gave us discounts. We went into Sherwin-Williams and they gave us their employee discount. So, we really were blessed the whole way, everything. This was all week. This was all week with them. It was crazy, but we had a wonderful week, and I'm just going to start down at Kevin and let him share a little bit about what the trip meant to him and what happened with him, and then it'll give you a caption of what really went on.
Okay, when I was down there, I seen the devastation of what the tornado can do. And I'm sitting out there one day just looking over the field where the trees were and stuff like that, and I can also see the beauty coming out of this. And what I got out of this trip is if something happens, there's always something good coming out of it.
Oh, I'm next. Okay.
She quick. Attaboy.
I got a lot out of the mission trips. This is my first one because I used to go to Cornerstone Church for like 30 years, and I always seen these people come back on mission trips and talk about it. I said, well, I want to go on that. And so finally, 33 years later, I went on my first one over here, and everybody worked so great together. And that was amazing. And the whole town, they're all religious. In fact, when we got paint for some the brushes and stuff like that, they came in and put it on a van, and they blessed all the emergencies they put in our car, because they make sure we're safe. So they're very religious, and that's just great because everybody pitched in and helped out. I did a lot of sanding, but most I think I had to keep everybody's brushes clean, paint and stuff. I was a cleaner because I'm real good at that, so I did that. So it was a good. I got a lot of it, so I was just glad I was part to help somebody else. But one thing that helped me, because a lady came back who had the house, and she seen what happened, and she seen the difference, and she cried. So, it was sad that she cried, but it was a happy sad. You know what I mean? So, okay, but it was a real good trip. So I can't wait for the next one. Well, I can't wait because I'm no disaster, but okay. Here you go, Todd.
I want you to know this guy here, he kept busy the whole time. Oh, boy, this is before the church, and that's what's left of the church. And the trees. The houses are on one side. But Steve he kept us going, and he such a sense of humor.
I kept everybody laughing.
Oh, we just loved him. But he saved us so many steps because he just did everything we asked him. And I don't think I ever heard you complain once.
I've been thinking, what I'm going to say today, and this is my fourth trip. Last year I couldn't make it because I got sick, so I couldn't go to Louisiana. This trip, I think, was a little bit different. Like I said, as Kathy had said, we were supposed to be really working on two houses, and the team was pushed into one house. I ended up driving down there, and the first day I was with Max. We were in the attic. I think it was 103 degrees. Air temperature, and we were in an attic putting in ventilation. So we were both, it was pretty hot up there, but we kept an eye on each other, and it was neat just watching her because she's new to this, and then watching Steve-O and Kevin and watching Wendy and some of the new people. I think that to me was more exciting than the trip itself. We go down there, it's not about us, it's about the people we help, but just watching the new people and what they would do, hearing Gabby and Max sing at night. At first I'm like, oh, they're singing again. And then you start looking forward at, oh, they're not singing, darn it, But those are the things that I'll take from it. And I think the negative thing is I cannot tape in mud, and I will never try it again.
I'm an old pro, you go ahead.
No, you
No, I don't want to. You know, every time we go, it's different. And with the new team, you don't realize what all they can do and everything. But they was some mudslinging and paint flying around you wouldn't believe. They all was learning how to do drywall, and they never done before. Some of them picked it up, some didn't, and some found out they could paint, some couldn't. But they all worked, and they all got along good together, and Steve kept us in stitches. But he corrupted me. I'm sorry.
One thing I gotta say too, Steve guy, he was one hard worker.
Well, no, we don't do that.
Yeah.
I stand around watching. But Steve kept us all in stitches because he kept busy, and he almost flooded the floor in the house, but we got him outside where he didn't drown everything. But he was a good worker, and all the rest of them worked good too, especially when you're in 100-degree temperature. Well, give or take a couple. But when you get a temperature like that and it's hot, sometimes the temperatures can flare a little bit, and we did have one explosion, but she got over it. When we all survived it. So we'll let you know, and if she does it again, we'll just have to replace her. All right, I'll give you somebody else.
My perspective is a little different than theirs. I stayed back with Natalia and Joe. Raise your hands. Joe, raise your hand. We took care of making sure this crew was fed. So we were grocery shopping every day, cooking meals, getting everything ready, prepping, running errands down to the site. We did get to go to the site to visit and everything while we were there several times and seeing a lot of the roadway things and stuff, but where the tornado went through. When I came back, I was, Howard, I'll tell you, a little different. Saw things that kind of, I just couldn't believe the devastation. The TV crews are down there for a week until the new news items on, and then they're gone. And everything is still so in process down there. And I don't know how you would encourage people to continue sending money, praying, remembering that these people are there. They're still in these trailers. If they have a trailer, there were so many places where the homes were gone, and I don't know where the families might be, if they're staying with other families or what's going on. But I came back a little, I don't want to say disenchanted, I guess, brokenhearted. I'm laughing because I can see the pictures. I know what's behind me. And it took me a little while to reconcile how that could possibly happen. Where's God when these things happen? And he's in the laughter. I mean, the joy of others, and the joy that you'll see in some of the people down there too. But what I came to realize, I had to go back online and watch some of the videos from when it first happened. And every video about these people that were down there, it was the first day, and this one church had like these tons of generators, and they were the only light on in Dawson Springs where people could come. The roads were still covered in debris and everything, and they were the only place and a light in this one church that's just, can you imagine being in all that dark and climbing out and being injured and wondering where everything is, and you have the light, and the light's in a church. And every story that the people were interviewed, they were also gracious and good and thanking God for every little blessing, every single one. And so the devastation that I saw and kind of blinded me a little bit to the good that comes out in all of us when we respond to each other and help each other. And I would say, don't forget these people down there in Kentucky. Go online and look at these videos of where they interview the people after this happened. You'll find such beautiful stories of just humanity, faith, compassion, empathy. And who am I to be disenchanted with anything when I wasn't even in the hot house with them. I was in the air conditioning up at the church we were staying at and we were cooking and stuff. Who am I to say anything and think anything bad when these people have been through all that and all they can ever do is praise God and be thankful and be there for each other, and just such an outpouring of love from them. It was beautiful. It's God.
A whole lot of God, right. So I have to say that back when I was attending Crossroads with a few of my friends that are back in here, Gabby and Joe, and they were in infant carriers, and I remember we used to sing this song in there, and it just says, it talks about God, who will you send? Send me. And I used to sit there, thinking I got to go pick up my kids, but God, send me to Africa or something. Like anything but changing diapers, right? The thing I had prayed for originally, help me, I want to have kids. But I remember back then, and God's like, not yet, not yet. And however, I have had my own mission here at home, helping other people with alcoholism and addiction. And I just thought, man, is God ever going to, send me on a mission trip? And I came here to the church to visit Amy, and we started getting active, and they're going on this mission trip. And I thought, well, I'll see what it's about. And God answered my prayers almost 18 years later, and I got to go with that daughter that was in an infant carrier. So
She did it, Nick, not me.
yeah. So I was very, very blessed beyond even helping other people. And just to see God, that he answers in his own time and at the right time. But I have all these ideas that I share with God, and I think, I tell him a lot of what might work out good, and that maybe he could do this and that. And I was telling everybody, I'm going on this mission trip. I'm going to learn to drywall and mud, and I didn't know there was taping and stuff, but now I do. So I was like, I'm gonna learn all of this, and I got there, and my daughter learned all of that, and I didn't know what I was gonna do. I was definitely a newbie, going, oh my gosh, where do I fit in? How do I help? And my very first morning there, God's like, I want you to spend some time in prayer. And Karen had actually sent me a devotional that I was listening to every morning and night, and that really helped guide me in mission and service and things. And God's like, your mission right this moment. He would give it to me moment by moment. And I spent time on that rock you saw earlier. Amy calls it her rock. I call it Serenity Rock. But either way, that first morning, I knew that he was placing on my heart to do a lot of praying beyond what I normally do. And when we got to the work site, I really started feeling a little bit salty, like, why am I here? There's nothing for me to do. It's poor me. I can't do anything. And I started walking around the grounds and started seeing there was so much stuff still to clean up, and the devastation, and get over yourself. You're here to help people. Oh, yeah, that's our bathroom back there on that slide that we put together. That was part of what God had me doing, was I was flushing the bathroom every day by throwing water on it. And I know, which Amy later informed, oh, you don't want to put bleach on that. The ammonia will, react it. And I'm like, whoa, it got pretty bad. And I kept cleaning it. I don't know what's wrong. So I did things like clean up the grounds and clean the bathroom that you saw there, and I got to work on, and Bill, who you haven't heard from yet down at the end, he just comes out and he goes, oh, look at all this, and I was like, oh, that's what I could do. And it was still tack board from where it used to be a porch, and it was stuck to the cement, and we really were having to walk back and forth through there. So I sat down and I started working, and the guys would bring out tools. I know Bill Hickerson brought me some stuff because he used to do a lot of demolish work, and so he came and would give me tools, and I was learning those kind of things. And I love being outside in nature, and I put on praise music, and I prayed, and I pulled up tack boards. But my favorite part was everybody kept saying, we need to get the stuff burnt, and I love building fires, but it was hot. And so at one point we went earlier in the day, and I was so grateful to go, and so I start burning up some of the rubble, and you're finding that it's wooden pieces of people's chairs that were in their homes, and floorboards, and walls and things. And so the glass, you can't walk on the ground because it's embedded with like glass and different things. So I put down some cardboard, and I would get a good contained fire going, and I would get on that board on my knees, and I would just start praying about the people who had walked on those floors and sat in those chairs and laughed between those walls, that they would again have places where they could sit in those chairs and laugh, within those walls, and walk the floors and stuff. And I spent most of that day doing that, burning the fire, and it was a treat for me too, because I love to burn things. But I know. I am. The kids will tell you. I mean, I love campfires, and it's just therapeutic to me. But it was God's gift of saying, enjoy this and enjoy me, and spend time thinking about these people, not yourself all the time. And in the midst of it too, we collected a lot of different things, and this is some of the wood that I had found, and there's nails in it and different things. And so I put it together, and it's just a reminder for me of those people, of that moment in time, of God's grace. To me, this will be something that I'll never forget, and I'm going to continue to pray for the people in Kentucky. We actually have linked up with some of them on Facebook, and we chat with them back and forth, and we're getting to see the lady, how things play out for her as her home's continuing to be worked on. And as much as we were building the homes, I felt like I was building a stronger relationship with God, that now I can come back here and, our biggest thing here is that we want to grow disciples to know Christ. And couple things that I knew there was that I need to physically get myself in better shape so I can continue to do God's work. And then the other part of it for me was to grow spiritually, because God's got all kinds of work for all of us to do no matter where we're at. And I'm just so grateful for this team that, and I did later on, by the way, sand and paint and stuff like that. That was just the first day, and the first day I thought, oh, here we go. But it was the most profound day for me. And then from there, he was like, okay, now that you're over yourself, you can do the other work. It was like God Amy will joke and say, God gave me a good spanking, and he did. And I'm grateful for that discipline. My prayer life has definitely grown, and I'm just grateful overall for the whole experience, and we'll continue to pray for them. And I look forward to going to hopefully on many more trips if God's willing. I'm not going to tell him what I'm going to do no more. I'm just going to say, who will you send? I will go. So here, thank you.
I do want to say that before we left, we did a Pampered Chef thing, and we were able to fill 5 boxes for 5 women. And we blessed 5 women with beautiful boxes for their kitchens. And they were so excited. And the one family had the little 3-year-old, they'd lost everything. She had a few toys in the house, but we went and bought her that pink house you saw. All of our kids had to hang out in it first, but we finally gave it to, my kids. These are my, my kids. But we were able to bless her also with furniture for the baby. She gave us a list what she needed for the new baby coming, and we were able to go out and buy all this stuff because we had money come in, and we had enough that we could go do these little extra things that normally you can't. And when we went to paint the house, they had dark gray for the entire house. He even mentioned dark gray for the ceiling, and I said, no, you don't paint ceilings gray. There's white paint here. We're going to do the ceilings white. And I said, I'm going to call the lady and see if we can paint it a different color besides the dark gray like we did the bedrooms. She ended up, she was happy. She was going to go with whatever they were going to do because she was so grateful that they were building, they had no insurance. So what they were doing for them was building them a $200,000 home, and it wasn't costing them anything. She would have took purple if they'd have gave her purple. She was so grateful. So we went out and got her light gray paint, and painted the rest of the house light gray. I just couldn't bear to put dark gray and make this house so gloomy. And the color of the paint was North Star. And I didn't know it. When I picked up the paint color, I said, oh, I like this gray. Who was with me that day? Todd. And I said, oh, look at the name on it. And then we knew he had to buy it because it was North Star. But it was little things like that throughout the whole trip that just kind of, they would happen and we would know it was a God moment. And we had so many God moments. It was so wonderful.
Oh, okay then. Okay, yep, okay. First thing I want to say is probably that this entire trip was a new experience and was really God reaching out to me, telling me that I need to go out and serve people like he has intended me to be. And it was a really amazing and humbling experience for me. I wasn't working with everyone here. I was working with Amy and my Nana. Nana, raise your hand. Nana, raise your hand. I said Nana, raise your hand. And Amy, raise your hand. Yeah. We were cooking and cleaning and running errands all day. We went to the grocery store. Laundromat, that was fun. We also went to the site a few days to go look at the damage that was done and to go look at how our team was doing. And it really astounded me on what could happen in such little time and how hurt the families could be. Like, one of the days we went out there, and I was out there for part of the day, I was with the little 3-year-old girl, and when I heard what had happened and heard how scared she was from that traumatic experience, it really broke my heart, and it made me think really hard because we wanted to help heal that, and we wanted to help give her a better childhood than the tornado that had happened in mid-December. And it was really something that had touched me close to home as someone who didn't have a very normal childhood myself. It really just was God telling me that I needed to help these people in whatever way I could, whether that was being out on the field for a couple days, going grocery shopping, going to the laundromat, cooking, cleaning, etc., with all its bumps and ups and downs with the rocky road. He just told me to persevere through it and to do whatever I could.
Amy wants to say something, but I want to say this girl was up at,
No, you go ahead.
this girl was up at, what was it, 5:30? Yeah. 5:30 every morning with Amy preparing our breakfast and wasn't grumbling. And I remember her saying, I hope I don't have to get up early. And yet we never had to ask her. She just Amy would tap her and up she would get. And she worked hard. There, stop right there. That is a tornado coming over Dawson Springs. If you just saw it, that just shows you how massive that tornado was coming over. Someone caught that from an airplane.
Okay. So for me, I feel like I learned a lot, stuff spiritually and just like stuff like skills for life. I mean, I learned how to drywall. That's pretty cool. So, I mean, I'm going to college. If I put a hole in the wall, I know how to fix it now. We're good. But I also learned that how grateful I am of everything I have, like seeing the little girl and the mom, just talking to them and seeing how much damage and how much they lost. It made me very grateful of everything I have. And just hearing people losing people in their lives, it's made me grateful for all the people I have in my life and all the new people I have in my life. And it just made me want to serve more, help others, because God is good and he does so much good work, and it really shows through everyone. And I think it was helpful having such a motivated team just to get done what we really need to get done. And I also gained another friendship, and we got really close, so yeah.
Popcorn. So this is my first mission trip, and I had a blast, honestly. I got to learn how to drywall, and I learned that I hated painting. I could have told you that. Yeah, I remember I was painting, and I remember Gabby was like, "Oh my gosh, I love painting," and I was like, "You can do it," because I don't. But I loved drywalling. I learned how to drywall, and that was pretty cool. And I got to sand the ceiling for hours. Got covered in a bunch of white stuff. But it was really fun. I think the part that I enjoyed most was kind of growing with everybody, especially Gabby, because she's like a sister to me, and Bonnie, who's like my mother. But for me, I remember when I had started coming to North Star, and they had just come back from Louisiana, and I remember listening to them talk about it, and I was like, I'm going on the next one. And here I did. I went on the next one, and I'll go on the next one until I can't anymore, I guess. But I had a blast, and drywalling was awesome, and so were the bugs. I took so many pictures of bugs throughout the week. Any picture of bugs you see in the slides, I most likely took. And that's why I was called Bug Girl. Truck is because my name's Max, and Steve thought I was Mac, so he called me Truck when we first met. And it's been that ever since. And I remember I was drywalling, and he came around the corner, and I was like, uh-oh. I was like, what am I doing wrong? And he goes, Truck? And I was like, yes. Keep on trucking. So, yeah, I had a good time. Now it's Bonnie's turn. Popcorn.
Well, this trip for me was different. I mean, they're all different, but this trip was different in my role, I guess. My role changed. We were only in one house. Every day there was 2 people that didn't really have something to keep them busy all day long to do. You were a runner. You stood around sometimes. It was frustrating for, I think, the likes of Hick and Todd and myself and Bill at sometimes, because we're used to just always having something to do. But it was it was a pivoting point for all of us, I think, that have been on these over and over and over again, to relinquish control of that a little bit, and to teach and to share our talents with them, and to let them go and do that and learn. It's just the process. So I think for all of us veterans, it was a little bit difficult relinquishing that control. But these kids were amazing. They were just amazing, and they did exactly what they were asked to do. So with that being said, I have some things to give to these kids. I have something for you too, Bernard. All right, Gabby and Josh, here's your paint rollers. Thanks. So that you can have them. Aunt Kathy, when we were in Kentucky, Aunt Kathy said, I'm giving these to them. So we've known that since then. Max, here's your trowel bucket, your little drywall bucket and your little thing. Gabby, here's your sander, because you guys sanded and sanded and sanded. So when we got home, I went and made. When we got home, I went and made pictures for these guys because Gabby and Josh are going off to college. Max is going to be a senior in high school. Natalia is going to high school, and I'm not dealing with this, Max. There.
Go ahead. You want me to clip it together? Or?
So I made each of you guys. Tal, this is yours, and I do owe you some, just so you know. Gabby, this is for you. Josh, this is for you. And I want you guys to carry with you what you learned, what you felt, that giving heart, and I want you to carry it through and be good disciples. And that's what I want from you guys. And then in the fun of it all, here's your guys' squirt guns back. Here, Tal, here's your squirt gun. So passing on the torch, I guess, was the learning experience that I had this time. It's always good. It's always great to go be the hands and feet of Jesus. I'll go every time. I do have some things up here if anybody wants to see them. They're things that Wendy and I, around the house we were working at, we dug this out of the dirt. There is a camera, a little kid's camera. I mean, I was dangling my feet over the top of the deck, and this section was sticking out, and I couldn't deal with it. I had to know what it was. I went and got a shovel, and this is what I dug out of the dirt. What? This is a tile, bathroom, kitchen, I don't know. There's a key. There's a piece of a lady's kitchen decoration, and none of this is either person's belongings, not the lady's house we were working at, nor is it the neighbors, the Coxes. So a little bit about like the force of what they were dealing with.
All right, hello.
Wait a minute. Hang on, one more thing. Bill, here's Oreos. Because Donna heard you didn't have Oreos while we were there till Aunt Kathy opened the Oreo bag. So here, there's your Oreos.
Bill informed me there was 400 cookies from Donna. There was a box of a pack of Oreo cookies we had no.
And this is for Steve. The pastor where we stayed at, it looks exactly like Steve. And he had to have a picture of him, or, well, it looks just like you two, but this is for you. Oh, thank you. You're welcome.
Good?
Yep, I'm good.
All right. Okay. Yeah, so it was pretty moving to see like all the damage that the tornado did. Especially my mom pointed out there's like glass all over the dirt, and I like to go outside occasionally, and it's like she pointed out that the kid wouldn't be able to go outside and play because of all the glass, and then she'd get like hurt and stuff. So that resonated with me a bit. But I think what got to me most was like, because I just come from high school and I'm not necessarily surrounded by Christian people 24/7. So it was like an environment where everyone was Christian and it was different. And I liked it, and it's encouraged me to play the cards where that can be my future. Like it's all Christians that I'm surrounded with.
I guess for me it was about connecting with my missions team again, and by doing that, it actually fills me up, with the Spirit, and when I go there, it's always the same. It's like I get more out of it than they do. I mean, I just get filled, and it just gives them hope, and it just encourages me, and I just get this feeling by going to serving that God just fills me, and it just carries me on. It just helps me grow too.
Short and sweet, William. Thank you. I'd like to thank the team for one, inviting my granddaughter, and for two, watching over my wife. This was a difficult trip. My family comes from Kentucky, so I can relate to how those people were living before the tornado. And this area that we were in, the people that we were helping didn't have help. They were either too indigent for FEMA to step up or too far out for the main rebuild that happened in the bigger cities. And to see this lady's reaction when she walked into the home and saw the walls that we did get done and the movement of the project forward, she could see the light at the end of the tunnel. And that spoke volumes to the week that we were down there. But what I found extremely surprising is that 12 to 14 teams had been there in front of us. And we got there on late Saturday afternoon. So Sunday morning we got up and shared their church service with us, and the whole team was there. And the youth got to sing. And at the end of the meeting, one of the parishioners came up and said that we were the first team to come and join them for their service. And I was just shocked at that. The other teams, either their travel didn't allow them or they chose not to worship with the host. And I was just floored by that. This is the top of the Bible Belt. These people live and breathe Jesus. And we were able to restore their faith by spending a week of our time there. And like Bonnie said, every trip is different. And this one seems so well orchestrated by powers outside of what we were doing. Every time you turned around, there was a new God moment. Somebody being blessed. But like Bill said, it always gives us more than we feel we're giving away, is what we are receiving. And it's all about the love. The commonality of us believing in one God and one movement in a time when it would be so easy to turn your back and blame them for what Mother Nature did that night. And it turned so many people's lives upside down, but it also brought them back together, if that makes any sense. But these accommodations that we had were outstanding. The people that hosted us were amazing, and the people that oversaw the job were on the game 100% of the time. So all I can do is say thank you. And hopefully we can do this again.
This was a little bit of a different one, but of course all mission tests, they've all been different, but it was nice doing it with my granddaughter for her very first mission trip. We worked hard, me and Amy and Natalia, keeping the place up, dinners, lunches, breakfasts, laundry, make your bed. We did all kinds of things, but that's what God had us there for. I'm a real good cleaner and I take care of people, so that's why I went. That's why I was there. And it was a really nice missions trip. Thank you, team. You guys kicked some butt.
We were able to also bless Joe with a visit from her brother, who lived about 2 hours away. Yeah. And I wanted to... A couple people knew. But we had a really neat thing happen. the pastor of the church, it's a Nazarene church. After service, he said, come here, I want to show you something. He takes me in his office, and here's this plate with the founder of Friends Church on it. He grew up in southern Ohio, Brunswick, Ohio, in Friends Church. His family is from Friends Church. He grew up a Quaker and then changed to a Nazarene, went to Malone University, and it was just, I said, it's a small world, you know? You just don't know when your paths are going to cross with someone, and so much in common with them. But I want to thank you guys again for coming out and listening to us and supporting us. I was just sitting there looking at my trees on my deck before I came to church tonight, thinking, how would I feel if I got up one morning and I didn't have my trees, my house, my church? That my church would just be gone and we'd have to start all over. I mean, I know this church would start all over. We just did it, but a different way. But I really, really am so grateful that we could go and be there for these people. And we don't know where we'll go next year. It depends on where God sends us. But thank you again. Oh, we have cookies and punch and cookies and lemonade and tea and coffee in the room back there if you have any questions or want to see the little treasures they got. Anyways, what happened is I always used to sing this song on mission trips at my old church years ago, and it was Standing on Holy Ground, and we sang it every morning before we left. And we get to the church service, and they sang it that Sunday. It was in their bulletin, and they sang our song. It's like, what are the, you know, holy God.